Good morning and the very warmest of welcomes to the 2025 National Aged Care Provider Conference, hosted by the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission. I'm Richard Morecroft and I am delighted to be with you again as your Master of Ceremonies for this event. A little over a year ago, we came together in Adelaide for the Commission's conference, Getting In on the Act. We explored what will change under the new Aged Care Act. We looked at new strengthened aged care quality standards and a new regulatory framework, and we talked about how to prepare for those changes. And back then, discussions emphasised the sector and the Commission's common goal of creating a great aged care experience for every older Australian. Key themes that emerged over last year's event included working together, getting ready for reform, older people being at the centre of care, and how continuous improvement and preparation is the key. Now, the Commission heard you when you asked for simplified, summarised content. They worked with you on co-designing targeted information and education that works all the way across our very diverse sector, and changed how they present data and insights back to the sector to support you in assessing your performance against that of your peers. And the Commission really did invest in its capability to deliver consistent, transparent, efficient and effective regulation. Now, over the past year, the Commission has worked very hard to support your readiness for the reforms, including through webinars, through engagement and consultations, and the release of guidance, training modules, a whole range of other resources. And now, this conference aims to bring it all together as, very much together, we navigate the changes through a rights and regulatory lens, and we discuss the new Aged Care Act in practice. Well, what wonderful participation we have here in person. Some 1,100 or so delegates from all states and territories representing residential care, home care packages and Commonwealth Home Support Program providers. And joining us via live stream, and a very special warm welcome to all of you, are a further 1,700 provider delegates from all across the nation. So this conference is really designed to provide to all of you the opportunity to learn, to share, and of course, to network. Now, the challenge to be ready for the 1st of November is, of course, very real. Across the sector, at all levels, extensive preparations are underway to change systems, processes, practice, and culture. The brief deferral of the new Act from the 1st of July to the 1st of November was in recognition that a little bit more time was needed to enact the required changes. And from a Commission perspective, it's actually been an excellent opportunity to continue to work with you to ensure that you feel confident and well prepared for what the next chapter means for you, your organisation, your workforce, and of course, the people in your care. And it enables this conference to focus on guiding you through the final phase of sector readiness as we count down, literally, to the 1st of November. The new Act is going to deliver once-in-a-generation reforms, transforming aged care laws in response to those 58 Royal Commission recommendations. It introduces a statement of rights for older people, placing them at the very centre of their aged care experience, an experience that is characterised by dignity and choice and respect for the individual's preferences, for their lived experience and for their identity. New and different obligations and conditions will apply to governing bodies, to providers and workers, and we will move from accredited to registered providers across 6 provider registration categories. A new regulatory model sets out stronger transparency and accountability obligations and expectations for the Commission, for providers and for workers. Providers, workers and indeed the Commission itself will need to adapt to those new responsibilities introduced under the new Act and understand what they actually mean in practice. Now, in our pre-conference survey, you told us that what you want to get most out of this conference are these elements: practical guidance for meeting those new obligations, case studies and real-world examples of compliance, clarity on how the Act will impact you, insights from peers, direct engagement with the Commission, and of course, those networking opportunities. Now, with this in mind, we have a very carefully crafted program of plenary and parallel sessions to meet your needs and expectations in the best possible ways. Over these 2 days, we're going to explore exactly what rights-based aged care looks like in practice, how organisations will be audited and registered, what rights-based regulation and complaints handling will look like, and how the new provider obligations for clinical, organisational and workforce governance will be regulated. You're going to be hearing from a wonderful wealth of speakers and panellists, each of whom will contribute to a comprehensive tapestry of perspectives, experiences and learnings. And the aim is that by the end of the conference, you will feel better prepared, better informed, better supported to be ready for the 1st of November. Now, there are going to be some important and great opportunities for you to participate in the conversation in Q&A sessions over these 2 days, and we very much hope that you do that. You will have the opportunity to meet Commissioner Liz Hefren-Webb and her team. Now, you can easily spot Commission staff around the place. They will be wearing blue lanyards. And we also have with us members of the Aged Care Quality and Safety Advisory Council. They can be recognised by their red lanyards. So please do share your thoughts or your questions whenever the opportunities arise to do that. But just before we get fully underway, 1 or 2 practicalities. In the main foyer, where you registered this morning, is where all of the daily catering is going to be provided and where our exhibitor booths are located. And very importantly, the nearest bathrooms are just outside the entry doors to this auditorium. Adjacent to the main foyer, you will find some tables. If during the breaks, if you're having food or drink, you'd prefer to sit down at a table, then you can find those there. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, all the plenary and the parallel conference sessions are being live streamed. Now, if you're watching via live stream and if you happen to experience any technical difficulties while you are watching remotely, you can reach out to the event team for a little assistance in the session chat as they are online with you. So please feel free to do that. For tomorrow's parallel sessions, your nominated streams are on your name tag. Now, if you do want to join a different stream or you didn't happen to nominate a stream, that's no problem, whether in person or virtually. You are, of course, welcome to switch or to attend the stream of your choice. If you're not sure about that, please just ask at the registration desk in the main foyer, and the team there will help you. I must, of course, mention mobile phones and the exciting range of ringtones that we very much hope not to hear at any stage during any of the sessions. So while you will need your device to access the app, which we'll talk about shortly and you've probably seen on the screens already, may I ask everyone to please turn your phone, your device, to silent during all of the sessions. Now, for most of the sessions, you will be able to ask questions via the conference app. Whether you're here in the room or whether you're joining remotely, we do want to hear from you. So for those in the room, also, you will have floor microphones located in the aisles. There are 4 of them, 2 down at the front here and 2 about halfway up the auditorium, which you can go up to and ask questions there if you wish during the Q&A. But just regarding the app, if you haven't downloaded it already, simply go to the App Store and download the Cvent event app. And then once downloaded, enter the event code NACPC 2025 as shown on the screen, and you will be up and running. Now, at the end of the conference, you'll be sent a link to the conference evaluation survey, and it will also be available from the home screen in the conference app. We would be really appreciative if you could complete it, preferably when we finish at around about 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. There'll also be an official photographer at all of the sessions, and you may well see a camera crew as well, filming Vox Pops during the breaks, so do keep an eye out for that. That is an opportunity to share your thoughts, and we hope you will engage with them. And finally, tonight's conference dinner with special guest Jean Kitson is almost fully subscribed, but there are just a few tickets still available. If you haven't got a ticket and you would really like to get along to the dinner tonight, then please go to the registration desk at morning tea and they may well be able to sort you out with a ticket. All right. Enough of all of those practicalities. Now let's get underway. And first, it's my very great pleasure to be able to welcome to the stage Colin Hunter Jr., a proud Wurundjeri man who will welcome us to country. Please welcome him.
Thank you very much. Good morning and welcome. It is my honour and privilege to be here today. My name is Colin Hunter IV. I would like to start off by acknowledging that this morning we are on Wurundjeri country, home of my ancestors and also home to everybody here today. I wish to pay my respects to both elders past, present and emerging, elders from all nations, especially all Aboriginal people joining us here today. Wurundjeri is a part of the Kulin Nation and of the Wurrung language group. Wurundjeri country extends from the inner city of Melbourne across to the Great Dividing Range, west to the Werribee River, south to the Mordialloc Creek and east to Mount Baw. A big thank you to everybody who has helped make this event possible this morning. Wurundjeri, welcome, and I hope everybody has a fantastic afternoon ahead. Now, I'm going to play this instrument for you today, traditionally known as the yidaki, but most commonly known as the didgeridoo. This instrument traditionally comes from far northern Queensland and is a gift from nature. This instrument is naturally hollowed out by termites. A lot of people think this is hollowed out by humans. It's a very, very unique instrument. They purely are a gift from nature. So I'll just play a few notes for you today. And again, thank you very much and hope everyone has a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Colin, for that warm welcome to country and those intriguing insights into the didgeridoo. Indeed, a genuine gift from nature. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Honourable Sam Ray, MP, Minister for Aged Care and Seniors. First elected to Parliament in 2022, Sam was appointed as the Minister for Aged Care and Seniors in May 2025. And as Minister, he is leading the implementation of the new Aged Care Act to ensure that every older Australian receives safe, high quality and dignified care. Now, he's not able to be with us in person today, but Minister Ray will join us now on screen.
Thank you for inviting me to speak to you today. I pay my respects to the Ngunnawal people, the traditional custodians of the lands on which I stand as I record this message. I also pay my respects to the Wurundjeri people, on whose lands you meet today, and upon which much of my electorate of Hawke is located. I'm sorry that I'm unable to attend in person due to the sitting of Parliament, but I'm happy I could record this message for you. This is the first Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission conference held since the Prime Minister asked me to serve as the Minister for Aged Care and Seniors. Since taking over this role, I've been pleased to see the productive and collaborative working relationship shared by older people, providers, workers and unions, and the Commission. I intend to contribute to and share in this relationship as an effective and consultative Minister. We all have an important role to play as the new Aged Care Act comes into effect, alongside a new regulatory regime from the 1st of November this year. Working with the sector to ensure that providers can fulfil their obligations will be key to the success of the government's aged care reforms. Together, we'll continue to build a high quality, respectful and sustainable system that puts older people at the centre of their care. As you're aware, the commencement of the new Aged Care Act has been briefly deferred from the 1st of July to the 1st of November this year. This was not a decision that we took lightly, but rather one that reflected the feedback that we received from older people, from workers, and from the sector. Change of this magnitude takes time. How we deliver, fund, and regulate aged care is changing, so it's important that we get the details right. Providers told us that they needed more time to prepare for the changes that'll come in with the new laws, so that the transition is as smooth as possible for the older people in their care. The deferral will allow more time for aged care providers to prepare their clients, support their workers, and get their systems ready for the changes. It'll also give us more time to finalise key operational and digital processes. While our primary focus this year will be on delivering these significant changes, I want to emphasise that the 1st of November does not mark the end of aged care reform, but rather the beginning of transformative improvements to aged care in Australia. This includes the introduction of the Support at Home program to better support older people to live in their homes for longer. A new regulatory framework that aligns with the rights-based foundation of the new Act. And a continued focus on safety, quality and accountability. The Commission remains a central part of the new system and will take action where quality or safety is at risk. They'll respond proportionately to concerns, focusing on improvement, and they'll support providers to meet their new responsibilities. The Aged Care Quality and Safety Commissioner has been a key part of the Aged Care Transition Task Force, working with government and the sector to oversee the rollout of these changes. The Transition Task Force remains focused on helping you prepare and succeed. Focus areas for the Transition Task Force include identifying issues related to design and implementation of the aged care rules, funding and fee structures, data and digital readiness. We want to make sure that every aged care worker and provider, regardless of size or location, has the tools to meet the expectations of the new system. We'll use the next few months to help aged care workers and providers to understand, prepare for, and learn about new ways of working so they can continue to provide safe and quality care for older people as we move to the new Act. Of course, reform is not possible without a workforce that is supported, respected, and fairly paid. And that's why the Labor government has invested $17.7 billion to increase award wages for aged care workers. Thanks to these investments, registered nurses working in aged care on the award wage are $430 a week better off. Enrolled nurses are $370 a week better off. And personal care workers are $320 a week better off. Our reforms have attracted almost 16,000 new workers to the home care sector, and our workforce development programs are improving career pathways for nurses and other care workers. We ask you, as providers and employers, to continue supporting and building the capability of your workforce. That means investing in training and professional development of staff, and creating the kind of culture where aged care workers want to stay and grow their careers. The theme of this conference, Rights and Regulation, reflects the direction of reform. Everyone benefits when the rights and choices of older people are put at the centre of care. Now, that'll only be possible when providers build strong organisational governance to enable safe, quality services and invest in their internal capability. Over the past few years, the Labor government has worked closely with older people, their representatives, and the sector to design the new Act. This collaboration will continue. I've been out visiting aged care services all across the country, listening to older people, to their representatives, to workers and unions, and of course providers, about how the changes will affect them. I'm very confident when I speak to them that we're in a strong position to deliver real and lasting change. With your leadership, your investment in people, and your commitment to providing quality care, we can deliver the system that older people deserve. I want to thank you for the work that you do. With your help, I look forward to continuing to strengthen our aged care system for older people, for workers, and for providers alike.
Thank you very much indeed, Minister Ray, and good to hear the Minister emphasising the importance of getting the details of readiness right and the significance of the steps ahead. Now, just before I introduce our next speaker, a reminder, once again, just to make sure that you have downloaded the conference app, if you haven't already, because we are going to be taking questions at the end of the next presentation, and you can submit them via the app, and we do so want you to be part of this conversation. So the practicalities, as I mentioned, simply go to the App Store and download the CVent event app, then enter the event code NACPC 2025, and you can then click on all sessions from the home page to view all sessions, and then for each session you will see a plus sign. You click on the plus sign to add each session that you are attending, and then that will be added to your personal schedule. And then in your personal schedule for each session that you selected, you will see a Q&A icon, and that is where you can, and we really hope that you will, submit your question. Or questions, please, don't stop at one. Now, for those in the room, if you would prefer to do it this way, as I mentioned, there are 4 standing microphones available, and you're very much welcome to make your way to the aisle, either down at the front on either side or about halfway up on either side. And if you are asking a question into the microphone, we would please ask you to begin with your name and your organisation and then jump into your question. Now, it is a delight to introduce Liz Hefren-Webb, Aged Care Quality and Safety Commissioner. Liz joined the Commission in January this year, and prior to this, she was the Deputy Secretary Social Policy in the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet, and she has led social policy initiatives across the Commonwealth for almost 30 years. Would you please give a very warm welcome to the stage to Liz Hefren-Webb.
Thank you, Richard. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. It's great to be with so many of you here today on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation and virtually across Australia. Wherever we are across our nation, we are on the lands of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we gather and pay my respects to elders, past and present. I extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples joining us today. When I commenced as Commissioner in January, I stepped into an organisation, and indeed a sector, already working at pace and with purpose to prepare for the New Aged Care Act. In my first months, I made it a priority to listen, to hear from you directly. I met with my staff, with peak bodies, I listened to aged care workers, advocates and providers, large and small. But most importantly, I met with older Australians receiving care and their supporters. In every conversation, the deeply held commitment to an ethic of care and compassion to the well-being of older people receiving care was evident. Nearly every provider felt that they already delivered rights-based care. Yet the voices of older people and their families and carers told a mixed story of some extraordinary aged care workers, leaders and providers, but also those who did not adequately respect their rights or keep them safe, of occasions where quality of care was not maintained, staffing was inadequate, or in the worst cases, older people were exploited or abused. The data and information the Commission gathers in its work reflects this complex reality. The New Aged Care Act is built on a statement of principles that prioritise the rights, dignity, safety, well-being, autonomy and self-determination of older people. As the Minister said in his address, everyone benefits when the rights and choices of older people are put at the centre of their care. The statement of principles must be reflected in action by providers, by workers and by us, the Commission. So we are all now engaged in strengthening a sector that places older people's rights, safety and well-being at its centre. We are all committed to service delivery that is not only safe and high quality, but respectful, inclusive and empowering. The recent extension to 1st November gives us more time to prepare to deliver the care that older people deserve. This is not a time to pause, it is a time to redouble our efforts. I want to assure you the Commission is here to walk that journey with you. Our conference theme, Navigating the Aged Care Act Rights and Regulations, speaks directly to the work ahead. Over the next 2 days, we'll explore key reforms under the new Act so you have a clearer understanding of your obligations and of what you can expect from the Commission. Sessions will cover rights-based care, provider registration, the strengthened quality standards, complaints handling, and governance requirements. They will offer practical guidance to support you on the path to readiness for 1st November. In our pre-conference survey, many of you said what you want most from this conference is clarity and guidance, and I thank you for your openness. You want greater clarity on changes to provider responsibilities, clarity on your obligations under the strengthened quality standards, clarity on what the Statement of Rights looks like in practice, and clarity on how the Commission will regulate and support you in the delivery of rights-based care. You'll find that clarity woven through every session, and I hope you take full advantage of the opportunity to ask questions, share insights, and make connections. But first, I thought it might be useful for me to say a little bit about how I see the role of the Commission as we move into a new era for aged care together. A number of people have asked me why I applied for this role after nearly 30 years engaged in social policy development and reform in traditional public service departments. They have said things like, "I never saw you as a regulator. I thought of you as a creative thinker." Or, "Are you sure you aren't too nice to be a regulator?" These questions have led me to reflect internally on what is a regulator. And is the Commission a regulator or more than a regulator? We don't have the term regulator in our title. We have 3 terms: aged care, quality and safety. And I think in large part we do what it says on the tin: undertake a range of functions, including but not only regulation, to keep older people safe and to ensure quality care. When I think about the objectives I have pursued my whole career, which have been about the safety, well-being and empowerment of various groups of people who have historically been excluded, those experiencing disability, those experiencing family violence, First Nations people, children in the care and protection system, those experiencing poverty, I don't see any discontinuity in taking up the role of Commissioner. We are here to keep older people safe and to ensure quality care. There are, of course, different tools that governments and public servants can use to achieve these objectives. Spending on grants and subsidies and income transfers is a big one. Funding states and territories to deliver services is also a common one. So is building skills and expertise, partnering with different parts of the community to enhance knowledge and drive best practice. Raising revenue is one we would all prefer not to have to do, but it's a critical tool to pay for it all. And finally, a key tool is legislating various requirements, sometimes as a condition of funding, sometimes just as a condition of being able to operate in the community. This last set of tools is usually what people understand as regulation, and this is certainly a key part of our repertoire. However, we have the opportunity to use a wide range of tools to achieve our objectives of keeping older people safe and ensuring quality care. This is a journey the Commission has been on for some time and that will continue to evolve. From 1st of November, our functions under the new Act will explicitly include safeguarding the rights of older people under the Statement of Rights, engaging and educating the sector for continuous improvement, registering providers, ensuring they meet suitability, capability and capacity requirements, and upholding the rights of older people and to resolve their complaints and concerns with real outcomes. But we have flexibility in how we perform these functions, including in the powers we use to achieve our objectives. So, in summary, I see our role is to be a key player in defending older people's rights, as well as partnering with our colleagues across the system in the delivery of safe, quality, rights-based care. We will work with you as constructively and proactively as we can, including with our colleagues in the department and in the Inspector General. We will never walk past the risk of harm. Under the new Act, some aged care providers will be regulated by us for the first time, and existing providers will have some new or changed obligations. Our approach will be sensitive to this. Be assured, if you are making genuine efforts to comply in a timely way, are putting the interests of older people first, and are open in your engagement with us, you will find us to be a constructive partner. You can expect that we will be proportionate, consistent and transparent in our response to risk. I also want to talk a bit about the role of complaints in meeting our key objectives. Complaints are a sign of strength in a rights-based system. People feeling able to raise issues and concerns and have them considered fairly and transparently is a key factor in empowering care recipients and their families and supporters. Even the highest quality provider makes mistakes or is impacted by external events in ways they can't control. The Commission makes mistakes too, and we should be completely transparent about that. Complaints, even a significant number of complaints, is not necessarily a sign of poor quality. It is the way we respond to complaints and try and address and improve issues and concerns that is a real sign of our values as an organisation. Under the new Act, you can expect a strengthened complaints mechanism that will be safer and more accessible to older people and their supporters to raise complaints or concerns when they feel their rights have not been upheld without fear of reprisal. An independent complaints commissioner will be appointed by the Minister and will be supported by the Commission. You can also expect that people who raise concerns will be protected under the new Act's whistleblower protections. These protections apply to everyone: aged care workers, older people and their supporters, and the general public. These protections impose strict limitations on the way that information can be used or shared, and these protections make it illegal for anyone to take negative actions against an individual for raising their concerns. I know that this is a significant transformation, and there is a lot of information to get across. That's why the Commission has worked proactively over the last year, well before the finalisation of the Act or subordinate legislation, to support your and our readiness. Our sector readiness plan details the resources released since January. I hope that many of you are already familiar with them, and I will call out just a few. They include the Provider Handbook, covering key provider obligations, updated provider guidance on the strength and quality standards, where you can filter by service type and role to access the information you need. This is complemented by an extensive online quality standards resource centre. Provider supervision case studies explaining our regulatory approach to managing risk, and draft forms to help you familiarise yourself with the steps involved in provider registration. While many of these resources remain in draft until 1 November, they are informative and instructional, and they are there to support you, to help you meet your obligations to support and train your workforce. We have a suite of learning modules on our online Alice platform, and we host live learning workshops to support your workforce to understand new obligations under the Act. These modules can be adapted by you for use on your own learning platforms or to incorporate into existing practical on-site training. Recordings of our webinars covering the range of regulatory reforms are available to watch on demand, where we discuss in detail key changes under the new Act. We have worked closely with the Department of Health, Disability and Ageing to make sure our systems and processes are aligned as we transition to the new arrangements. Like you, we're using the additional time to prepare to be ready to support and regulate effectively from day one. So we are truly on this readiness journey with you. We are working hard to make sure our staff are trained and supported with a focus on learning and practical run-throughs. But everything will not be perfect on the 1st of November. There will be challenges, adjustments and learnings along the way for all of us. 1 November will mark the start, not the destination. Perhaps the most profound shift introduced by the new Act is through the Statement of Rights. It enshrines the rights of older people receiving care in law. This is not symbolic, this is structural. In practice, the Statement of Rights means older people are empowered with agency and choice in the services they receive, they are free from neglect and harm, and they are supported to live self-determined and meaningful lives. It is putting the older person first, respecting them as unique individuals with a rich tapestry of lived experience, cultural connections, spiritual beliefs, and lifestyle preferences. As I said earlier, many providers already embody this in your daily practice, but it does represent a cultural shift for the sector. This conference provides the opportunity for many people who have deep experience in aged care to provide their perspectives on what this shift involves. This includes people who've been advocating for a rights-based act and a rights-based approach for many years. I hope that you will get the opportunity to engage in the conversations so that we are all better placed to protect and uphold these rights. Providers are expected to embed older people's rights as unique individuals and have policies and procedures in place that align to a rights-based culture embedding principles of fairness, respect, equality, dignity, autonomy and choice, and dignity of risk. These qualities should be cultural norms for all engaged in the delivery of aged care. Providers are expected to continuously improve towards high-quality care beyond the minimum standard of compliance. This requires a workplace culture that values and rewards working with older people. Providers, workers, volunteers, and responsible people are expected to uphold the code of conduct. This includes treating older people with respect and dignity and delivering aged care services with care and skill. To achieve this, you're expected to engage with and educate your workforce, including training, recruiting, and retaining skilled and empowered aged care workers with sufficient qualified and experienced staff. If we suspect a worker's behaviour is breaching the code, we may investigate and gather further information to consider both the worker and provider's responsibilities. If a worker's conduct continues to concern us, and we're satisfied that an individual is not suitable to deliver aged care services, we may take a range of regulatory actions, including banning them from delivering aged care services. We are also preparing for the continuing rollout of worker screening. These arrangements will provide for a nationally consistent screening process for all workers in risk-assessed roles with more stringent requirements than the current Act. The new screening process for aged care will not start before 2026. These reforms will continue to enhance protections for older people by supporting you to ensure that unsuitable workers do not enter or remain in the sector delivering funded aged care services. Our current regulatory strategy, updated last year, introduced our new provider supervision model. This approach is designed to assess a provider's capacity to manage risk so that we can adjust our level of engagement accordingly. This means if a provider cannot demonstrate they are effectively managing risks or issues, we will increase our monitoring and may compel them to take certain actions to make sure they are delivering safe, quality care. Our provider supervision model has 4 levels of oversight, which you can see on the bottom left-hand of the diamond. Risk surveillance is our baseline level of supervision. We monitor all providers for risk, including through analysing regulatory intelligence. Regulatory intelligence is drawn from a very wide array of sources, including audits, complaints, serious incidents, data and information held by the department, and even media and police sources. Targeted supervision is where a provider is required to take corrective action to manage specific events or issues, and we have confidence in their ability to do this in a timely or appropriate manner. We will check back in periodically to determine whether they have done what they agreed to do. Active supervision is for providers with higher levels of risk or non-compliance who need significant direct oversight to make sure they take the actions required to address risk or non-compliance. And heightened supervision is the most intense level of oversight and intervention. We use heightened supervision for providers with long-term, severe or unresolved non-compliance. Our approach is risk-based and proportionate. meaning our engagement with a provider increases with increased risk of harm. Our focus will continue to be on prevention, early intervention and prioritising the highest risk to older people. If the risk to older people is high, we use our monitoring, compliance and enforcement powers to encourage, and if needed, to compel a provider to change their behaviour. Where needed, we will appoint a dedicated compliance case manager. When a provider remains non-compliant, moving to the bottom of the regulatory diamond, they are not taking timely and sufficient action to control risks. Their behaviours may have caused foreseeable harm, or they cannot demonstrate they are committed, capable, or have capacity to control a risk. When this results in serious or systemic failures in care, we may take enforcement action. Our enforcement activities aim to deter future non-compliance, including through fines, restricting their ability to continue operating in the aged care sector, and in some cases, criminal prosecution. We will continue to use regulatory intelligence for risk profiling, to take targeted actions to hold providers and workers accountable to improve care and uphold the rights of older people. Where there is immediate and severe risk to safety, we will target our regulatory approach to the level of risk and take swift action to compel providers to comply. The move to a rights-based act will change some of our regulatory functions, so we have made further updates to our regulatory strategy to be clear and transparent on what you can expect from us and our expectations of you. Our revised regulatory strategy retains our existing provider supervision approach, but it now includes our rights-based approach to regulation in line with our broadened functions under the new Act. It explains how we are changing our regulatory approach to uphold the rights of older people under the Statement of Rights, support providers, responsible persons, aged care workers and digital platforms to uphold these rights and comply with their obligations, ensure provision of safe, accessible complaint mechanisms for older people, engage and educate the sector, regulate providers through registration and monitor workers, working with them to bring them back to compliance when needed, uphold whistleblower protections for people to make complaints and give feedback without reprisal, respond proportionately to the risk of harm, and support a sustainable, innovative and continuously improving aged care sector. It is our blueprint of how we will regulate to safeguard and protect the rights of older people under the new Act. It is our commitment of how, together with you, we will continue to build quality and hence trust and confidence in aged care. It explains that we will be fair, transparent and consistent in our actions. Where a provider can demonstrate they are managing appropriately, we will encourage and support them to do so. But for our providers able but unwilling to mitigate risks or who respond to our engagement poorly, tolerance will be low. I will release the revised strategy for public consultation via our website's consultation hub on Monday, 11th August. The public consultation period will run for 4 weeks, after which the Commission will take time to consider submissions and make any changes before releasing the final version in late September, prior to the commencement of the new Act on 1st November. Please do read the draft strategy, reflect on it and share your feedback. Your input will help shape how we regulate and support the sector with clarity and transparency. That is my commitment to you. In closing, I want to thank you again for being here, in person and online, for your time, your energy and your commitment. The next 2 days are about more than sharing information. They are about collective leadership, about building a sector that truly delivers the respect, dignity and care that every older person deserves. I hope that when you leave tomorrow, you will feel more informed, more confident and better supported on the road to 1st November. Together we are navigating transformative change. Together we are laying the foundations for our older generations and the generations to come. I look forward to engaging with you over the course of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Liz. Please take a chair and we will move towards some of the process of this conversation that we've talked about. It was great to hear you, explaining how you see the priorities of the Commission and that regulatory strategy for the years ahead. But we are already starting to see some questions coming in from you, our audience here, or perhaps even, of course, our remote audience. So let's move straight into a Q&A process. I have the first question here, which simply says, "Thank you, Liz. We are glad to have you as our Commissioner." That was probably just after you'd said that you were a bit concerned you were a bit too nice, perhaps, to be a regulator. But how would the Commission, under your leadership, change from punitive to collaborative in its approach?
Thanks for the question. I mean, I think, the Commission has a job to do. No one loves a regulator. But, if anything, I think my focus will be on focusing on the most serious risks and the most serious harms. Technical non-compliance with the standards is not our priority area. Our focus is on, are older people safe? Are they at risk of harm? Of course, we need everyone to focus on every aspect of the standards and continue working towards their way to best practice. But my commitment and passion is around the safety and well-being of older people and the upholding of their rights. And those are the areas where you can expect we will be very active. I think even prior to my commencement, the Commission was moving away from a focus on technical non-compliance and towards a more proportionate approach. And we look to continue that. Thank you.
Now, we've got another question. Do we need to be 100% compliant as from the 1st of November? Whilst we are doubling down to update and review our policies and procedures, training, client engagement, tech transformation, etc., work will continue past the 1st of November.
Look, I think we recognise that very much. As I've said, ourselves will not be completely ready by the 1st of November in all aspects, and we will be testing and trying some of our new systems. I think, again, as I said in the speech, it's really about willingness and demonstrating that your commitment to achieve the standards and that you have a plan and a pathway to achieve the standards. As a practical matter, I'm not going to have people out on the ground everywhere on 1 November. We will be responding, as we usually do, to signs of risk, which come through a range of sources to us. And when we engage with you, if you say, well, we haven't been able to implement this as quickly as we'd liked because people were off sick or other things happened, I mean, we will engage with you in good faith on those matters, recognising this is a journey of transformation.
Our next question here, and by the way, I should just remind you, if anybody who's here live in the audience would prefer to come up to one of the microphones, please do feel free to do that. It's a little difficult because of the lights to see if there's somebody there, so I will try and see, but if you're towards the back with the microphones, give us a bit of a wave if I look up. However, we do have questions coming through via the app, and that is great, thank you. The next question I have here, walking alongside, in quotes, is absolutely something I want to see from the ACQSC, and yet some interactions haven't felt this way. What is the Commission doing in its internal culture, systems and processes to make this a reality in all aspects of your work?
So I've obviously been spending a lot of time talking with staff at all levels about our approach, about the importance of us upholding the highest ethical standards in our engagement with older people, with the sector. I do hear stories that sometimes we can be rigid and we can be difficult to deal with. I take those very seriously, as do my leadership team, and we certainly don't see ourselves as coming to tell people off or tell them what to do. We're genuinely here to respect and defend the safety and rights of the older person. And so I think there's a way to do that without being confrontational, without being difficult. And nearly everyone in the sector is collaborating towards the same end. And so it should be a constructive engagement.
The next question that's come in via the app, just checking the microphones, but no, the next question come in via the app. Will the Commission have any additional resources allocated to be able to work effectively with providers to meet the new obligations?
Yes, I was very excited in the budget, which was announced late March this year, that we did receive additional resources, substantial additional resources, to recognise the full scope of work we need to do. And so we have been busy recruiting and building up our workforce so that we can engage with you all as positively and as quickly, and we can deal with complaints faster, we can respond to incidents faster. It's a work in progress because, we're competing for talent out there with everyone, but we are attracting new and highly skilled people. And so, yes, we did receive additional resources, which is great.
The next question coming through the app is a very short one. How does the regulatory framework support innovation?
So, I mean, the regulatory framework is very much focused on risk, and it's focused on proportionate responses to signs of risk. And so, we're not a regulator that's going to tell you exactly how to do the outcomes that you want to achieve. We encourage innovation, we encourage flexibility. I understand sometimes it might not feel that way, but that is our goal. And our goal is to be outcome focused. And if you have new or innovative ways that you want to work in the sector, we really encourage you to engage with us and have a conversation, because there should be a path for all sorts of different ways to support older people, given that older people are infinite in their variety. The support services should be matched to that.
Thank you very much. Now, am I seeing correctly that we have someone up by the microphone? Yes? Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Liz, Cynthia Payne, just want to start by acknowledging your kind and encouraging words of the sector. The sector is very diverse with different sizes of providers. I'd just like to invite you to comment on how the Commission will support smaller standalone providers in this journey for readiness for reform. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Cynthia. It is a very diverse sector, and the majority of residential care providers actually have between 1 and 3 care homes. So it's not the case that big providers actually dominate the provision. So we are very conscious of that, and I am very aware that of the kind of administrative and logistical challenges facing smaller providers. I have the good fortune to be married to someone who runs a very small NGO, and I hear very frequently about the challenge of meeting all standards, all requirements, etc., even just keeping up with the regulatory bulletins, etc. So I really want to hear what would work for you, what would support you. We have a fantastic communications team in the Commission, and really encourage you to reach out. If there's things you're not getting from us, that would be really helpful. But we do try and make our information as accessible as plain English. I'm trying to make it briefer I did find when I came in we had lots of very long documents, and I love a long document as much as the next person, but time is money, and so we have been trying to sort of maybe get things a little bit more concise so that you can keep across the material. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question here through the app. We speak about upholding the rights of older people, which is essential. My question relates to the safety and well-being of aged care workers who... Oh, I'm sorry, that question has just disappeared from the screen. But I will try and recall the last parts of it. Here we go. The safety and well-being of aged care workers who may face physical abuse or racial slurs in the course of their work. Where are such incidents reported?
So obviously, work health and safety issues are really of significant concern. There are, of course, regulators in each state and territory where such matters can be raised. There's also the Human Rights and Equal Opportunity Commission. We're really disturbed when we hear about incidents. In some cases, obviously, working with people with complex behaviours, things do happen, and sometimes people are not in control of what they're saying. It can be incredibly hurtful, but we are very aware of the stressful nature of the work. But please, we're happy if you call us. We can also help direct you to someone who might be able to help you. And of course, the unions are very active in supporting workers in this sector. But yeah, we absolutely recognise this is tough work. It's high stress work. It's historically not been highly paid. And so we absolutely get that it's, some very difficult things can occur.
Thank you. Another question, a very short one again. Can we expect a one-page statement of rights?
Well, I didn't write the act. I know who did, Mel Metz, who's in the audience. So
I think that responsibility is going to fall heavily.
Yeah, that's right. Look, if I'm being asked about it, it's, how would I want to be treated? It's not, it's, as a person with thoughts and feelings and ideas and a history, we all know how, we all can imagine how we would wish to be treated, or how our mum would wish to be treated, what we would want for our nearest and dearest. It's not that complex. Having said that, it's spelt out in great detail in the legislation. And so I do encourage everyone to have a read of it, but we've got 2 days to kind of explore what it means in practice. And so I don't know if we'll get a one-pager going, but hopefully over the course of the 2 days we'll say a few things that maybe resonate with you as ways to understand it. Thank you.
Thanks very much. We have another question from one of the microphones. Please go ahead and just let us know who you are and where you're from, first of all, please.
Elizabeth Jost, Board Director for All Aged Care based in Brisbane. Liz, thank you very much for projecting such a caring approach. It's really great to hear. One of the things that I think is not quite balanced right at the moment with the information that we have to date is really the potential punitive actions and consequences for board members. I'm hoping that this will change and be more respectful. We understand and accept and recognize our importance of governing bodies, but it's certainly as someone who has spent many, many years in the sector, I just don't feel that this seems quite right, and I just wanted to communicate this feedback. Thank you.
Thanks so much for the feedback. I mean, it is a really difficult balance, and we want people to want to be on boards, and, we have to make it something that people feel excited to do and want to commit to. I think it's a good point you've raised. We have seen some really dreadful circumstance and some really unsuitable people, And so, but we've got to balance that against the vast majority who are doing it out of care and compassion and want to contribute. And so I agree with you, that's a balance we need to get right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have somebody else at the microphone there? Is that right? Please, thank you.
Good morning, Liz. Nicole Devlin from St Vincent's Health Australia. Again, thank you so much for your really warm and compassionate approach. In 1997, when we had the first Act, 8 years later, there was a digital strategy that was funded for $1,000 a licence to implement electronic documentation systems in 2005. 20 years later, we have a digital strategy from the Commonwealth, and I'm wondering whether, I know that there's focus around telehealth and my health record, but wanting to know whether there is any goals around funding us upgrading our digital approach, especially when it comes to AI and the sort of surveillance that people carry now?
That's a really great question for the department. It's a really good question, and I know it's come up in the Transition Task Force as well, the need for more support for people to improve their IT systems and innovate. Happy to pass that feedback to my colleagues at the department who have control of those lovely pools of funds that we don't. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks very much. We're going to have to go to our last question, I think, coming in through the app. But thank you all so much for being involved in the conversation, and for those of you who unfortunately might have had a question you would have liked to have asked. Time is just defeating us, but great that there have been so many questions. This final question is, it's great to hear that the Commission will move to contemporary regulation under your leadership. Are you open to hearing more about sister sectors and harmonising where possible?
Absolutely. For my sins, one of the things I was doing at PMC was the care economy work and the care economy task force. So I've got a lot of passion and enthusiasm about harmonising regulation, particularly obviously with the disability sector. I'm really conscious for providers. It's really hard to operate in both sectors, and we need to be doing more to make that a more streamlined experience. So absolutely support that. We are doing some work with our colleagues in, was in a different portfolio, but now they're in the same portfolio as us, disability, which is great. So I think the opportunity is there and the moment is there to do some of that work. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Liz, for a wonderfully informative session and a great conversation. Thank you all for all of those questions that came in as well, and hopefully that sense of conversation is really what's going to characterise this conference as we move into the various sessions over the next 2 days. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you please thank Liz Hefren-Webb. Now, as Liz leaves the stage, it's a great pleasure to be able to introduce our next speaker. And she is Anne Burgess AM, Chair of Aged Care Council of Elders, and she is going to deliver our keynote address this morning. Anne has been the chair of the Aged Care Council of Elders since 2023. The council provides advice to government about aged care and ageing well, while also engaging with older people about aged care changes, and is also the chair of the Aged Care Transition Task Force, providing oversight and stewardship to help the aged care sector transition to the new Act.
Now today, Anne is bringing the voice of the older person front and centre. So please join me in welcoming Anne Burgess to the stage.
Hello everybody, and thank you Richard for that welcome, and thank you to Liz and the Commission for inviting me to speak today. I want to also thank Colin for that wonderful welcome to Wurundjeri country, and to hear the Didge first thing in the morning is fabulous. I pay my respects to elders past and present. So I'm really a fortunate person in being able to chair the Council of Elders, 12 fabulous people from all around the country who are older people, of course, like me, who are extremely well networked, have a huge variety of lived experience to bring to every aspect of the reform in aged care that's been occurring since the Royal Commission. And the establishment of the Council of Elders was a recommendation, a central recommendation of the Royal Commission to ensure that the voices and the views of older people was central to the reform. Like, you know, what a new idea to have older people actually providing advice. You know, a great thought. We get the opportunity after every meeting to provide advice to the Minister and to make sure that the Minister's aware of what are the emerging issues for older people and the continuing issues for older people from around the country. So what we know, what we've heard a lot about already today, is that rights are an essential element of the new Aged Care Act. The other starting point that I think is really important as well is the notion and the requirements in the Act about supported decision-making. So these two concepts, rights and supported decision-making, have the potential, I think, to create cultural change in aged care. And in my view, that these two elements are really central in addressing ageism and discrimination that were recognised by the Royal Commission as underlying so many of the problems in aged care. So at Council of Elders recently, we were discussing rights, and this is what we want to say to you.
Rights to me mean that I have the sense of security and autonomy.
The rights mean to me that I can maintain my independence, decide on where I can live and how I can live and what I can do with the rest of my life.
Rights to me means having my choices and my decisions respected, just being treated fair.
Rights are concerned with validity of choices. I expect my choices to be respected and my dignity maintained and my value as a person upheld.
What do rights mean to me? getting the services I need when I need them, being treated with respect and dignity, enjoying the dignity of risk, having the right to complain without fear of retribution, and being able to choose where and how I live.
My rights means I'm delivered trauma-informed, culturally safe services, regardless of gender, age, disabilities, or my socio-economic circumstances.
For older Australians, the right to timely care and support based on assessed need, the right to be treated with respect, the right to the exercise of agency and choice in person-centred care.
As a senior citizen, I greatly value my independence, self-respect and dignity. I also strongly believe that we all deserve a healthy and dignified life until the end.
Older persons should be able to enjoy human rights that include full respect for their dignity, beliefs, needs and privacy, and for the right to make decisions about their care and the quality of their lives.
Thank you for that. So we can see that there are some themes here from what those people from Council of Elders were saying. And the themes, the common themes, I think, are about independence, dignity, choices, and being respected. But there are also some differences in that some prioritise trauma-informed care. For some, security is important. Some want to be able to take risks. And some want to choose where to live. And that's amongst 10 people. So imagine that multiplied by everyone in our aged care system. Huge differences. So the point I want to make is one that I find I need to make often. When we talk about older people, we're not talking about all one grey blancmange of the sameness, let alone frail, incapable, in cognitive decline, needing support, always in wheelchairs. All of those stereotypes are applied to us daily. On the contrary, we all have different experiences and priorities, and the Act gives us confidence to stand up for our rights. But I want to say today, will you as providers open the door and give us our voice? We've talked about consumer-centred care for decades now. I think conferences are exactly the time to discuss difficult issues, and I'm grateful to be talking to you at the beginning of this conference because I'm hoping that some of these things will be discussed and aired and pulled apart as the days go on. And I'm going to raise a couple of difficult issues. It's difficult in this environment to talk about independence, a right, versus dependency. Difficult because I know I'm surrounded in a conference like this by people who really care about older people and who want to help older people. I know that's your work, and for some of you it's your life as well. It's easy, and I'm the first to say I've done it with my parents as they grew older as well. It's easy to say, I'll do that, I'll get that for you. Don't do that, you might fall. Or you're a bit old to be doing that, or wearing that, or hopping on a plane, or whatever it might be, said to me often. Or go and have a rest now, you must be really tired. So I just want you to take a moment to think, how does that make you feel if that's said to you? old, frail, needing someone to do things for you, not with you. You're not in charge. For me, I've lost my dignity and my agency and my sense of self. And it comes from an area of kindness, so it's difficult to talk about, but it has an impact. At Council of Elders, we're concerned that person-centred care, which I said has been around for decades, has become a series of transactions. And by transactions, I mean something you can just tick off. I'm here to clean your house, tick. It's certainly a service to you, but not about relating with you. Not what's important to you today. Not putting you in the driver's seat. It might be that today what's important to me is to share with you something that's happened to me that's really upset me. And that's the primary thing on my brain. It's the relationships that help you to draw out our differences, our wishes and preferences. And that's what boosts our sense of dignity and independence. And at a commission conference, I want to say that I don't believe you can regulate to make this happen. It's not something that you can apply a standard and a rule to easily. It's so much about our attitudes and our values. So my plea today is, let's work together to put rights into action, and let's shift the focus towards the individual flourishing and having their individual preferences listened to and valued. And let's make space for us to make our decisions as best we can. And that does take time, but the outcome is so much better. Supported decision-making is about, as we know, starting from the point that people have the ability to make decisions. Older people have that ability, and it might vary from day to day. It might vary about the decision to be made. But if we make space and make time, we'll give that person a feeling that they're involved, that they're in charge, that they're making those decisions. And just to show you that I know and I recognise how hard this can be, I know there are some older people who just love being wrapped up in cotton wool and waited on. And we might have all felt that at some stage in our lives. So everyone, every day is worth listening to. And I just want you to remember that one day this might be you. Thank you. I don't know whether there are any questions out of that, Richard. We've got 5 minutes, I notice.
Excellent.
Anybody got a question?
Yes, indeed, that may be a possibility. I'm not sure whether we're set up on the app for that, but certainly I think if anybody would like to ask Anne some questions, please do, as we've had before, come to the microphone. And if you would like to put a question to Anne, it would seem that she's extremely keen to get it, which is great.
Yeah.
And so we do have somebody, thank you, sir, right up the front.
My name's David Potter. I'm representing the Oaks and Aged Care Facility in Yarl, outside Mount Gambier. Now, I'm about to go into my 53rd year in nursing, so I am an older person. The biggest challenge I think I face in the role as Director of Nursing Facility Manager is that we have a group of people who, if they had the choice, would not want to live together. And our quality of life, regular 3-month surveys show that that's exactly what they want. They want their independence, they want to live somewhere else. That's the biggest challenge I face, even as an older person. Any ideas?
Yeah. That's such a lovely question and such a lovely comment. Thank you for that. And when we're talking at Council of Elders about accommodation for older people, I always put my hand up first and say, I'd be no good in share housing. And they keep talking about share housing, so I understand that entirely. In some of the aged care facilities that we've been in, we've noticed that if people have a role in the facility, if there's a way that they have, that they can continue to be in charge of their lives in some way or other, and have a role to offer in the facility. I mean, my mum used to say to me, I can't even make you a cup of tea. Like I don't have a purpose. People who've heard me speak before know about my 2 P's and an F, which is the answer to ageing well. Purpose, people and fun. The purpose bit, I think in residential aged care, that's the hardest bit to work on, but really for people still to feel they have some sort of purpose, whatever it might be, to get out of bed, something has to be important in the day, even if it's choosing what you wear or when you have your lunch or whatever it might be. I don't know, but, we've got a day and a half to solve that one as well. Thanks.
Thank you very much indeed for that question, and thank you, Anne, for initiating that, because it was great to be able to incorporate that in our discussion. Please, as she's leaving the stage, do thank Anne Burgess. Yes, look, a big thank you to Anne, because your message is a very clear one and a very compelling one, and we heard Anne emphasising the importance of recognising attitudes and values and the rich variety of experience and priorities, not just a commonality, but an enormously rich variety of experience and priorities right across the community of older Australians. And so if we are going to deliver respectful, safe, quality care, then the voices of older people, as Anne has been explaining, need not just to be heard, but they need to be recognised as having agency. And so thank you again, Anne, for your message. It's now time for morning tea, which is going to be served in the main foyer just outside these doors. And while you're there, do also take a little bit of time to visit our exhibitors in the front of the big windows. And just a reminder, if you would like to grab one of those last very few tickets for tonight's conference dinner, then please go and have a chat to the good folk at the registration desk. Now please keep an ear out for the session bells to let you know when to return to the plenary room here. We'll start the next session promptly at 11:30. Thank you.